Good evening, everyone. I'm going to call this meeting to order of October 3rd, 2024. If you all please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, roll call, please.
Alderman Osteen?
Here.
Alderman Ross?
Here.
Alderman Rucker?
Here.
Alderman Barola?
Here.
Alderman Hoffman?
Here.
Alderman Rose? Mayor Harmison?
Here. All right, we do have a quorum. We're going to move on to the citizens' communication. This is the time set aside on the agenda for citizens and visitors to address the mayor and board on any topic that is not a public hearing. For those here in person, speakers will be restricted to 3 minutes unless otherwise permitted. Minutes may not be donated or transferred from one speaker to another. Any questions or comments for the mayor and the board may be sent to the city clerk at tberreth@osagebeach.org no later than 10 a.m. on the board meeting day, the first and third Thursday of each month. Submitted questions and comments may be read during the citizens' communications section of the agenda. The Board of Aldermen will not take any action on any item not listed on the agenda, nor will it respond to questions, although staff may be directed to respond at a later time. The Mayor and the Board of Aldermen welcome and value input and feedback from the public. Is there anyone here in person who would like to address the board? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to the approval of the consent agenda. Has the board had a chance to review the minutes from the Alderman meeting September 9th, 2024? The bills list October 3rd. And Alderman Hoffman, are the 2 liquor licenses in order?
They are indeed.
I'm sorry? All right. Any comments or questions on the minutes or the bills?
Motion to approve.
All right, motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Hoffman, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, the consent agenda has been approved and passed. Next, we're going to move on to recognition. And I'm going to turn this over to our city administrator, Devin Lake, please.
We'll do it this way. Okay. Could I have Ashlyn White come forward, please? Oh, thank you.
Good job, Zach.
You can just stand right here. So I wanted to recognize Ashlyn for writing the beautiful poem that she did for Officer Carson. It was very beautiful. It was read at her vigil. So we're going to present you with a certificate of recognition. Ashlyn White, the city of Osage Beach, would like to thank you for your writing such a beautiful poem for Officer Felicia Carson. Your generosity and thoughtfulness made a difference in the lives of many in a time of sorrow. So we have a gift bag for you. Here you go. And then Chief has something for you as well.
And this is a memorial band that all the officers and the family and some of our employees, the staff, all wear. It's Officer Felicia Carson, Osage Beach Police Department, and blessed are the peacemakers. So, and it's got her badge number and the city seal and stuff on it. So, thank you.
Thank you, Ashlyn. If I could have Layla and Bella come forward, please. So Layla and Bella designed the end of watch badges that you see that are shared on Facebook as their profile pictures and everything. I don't think you guys realize the impact that you made. Those images are nationwide. And it was very kind of you to spend the time of making those, and it's made a difference in our organization. So Layla and Bella Bean, the city of Osage Beach, would like to thank you for your artwork and design of the End of Watch badge for Officer Felicia Carson. Your generosity and thoughtfulness made a difference in the lives of many in a time of sorrow. So we have certificates for each of you. Go. And each of you get a bag. And then Chief also has bracelets for you.
Yep, for both of you. Thank you. And both of these girls, they went to work on that the morning of the Felicia's crash. So we had it up in, less than 24 hours, I guess. And everybody was using it. And like Devin said, it's went nationwide. Everybody's got a friend on Facebook from some other state, and that they're using it as their picture. So thank you, guys.
Great work.
Will y'all leave that water bottle right there? Right in front of the clock. Right in front of the clock.
Oh, this?
Yeah. No, not the clock, the water bottle. You can leave the clock. There we go.
We're going to do them all at the same time?
Yeah.
That looks great. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to take one more. 1, 2, 3. Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you and congratulations to all of you. That was very nice. All right, now we're going to move on to unfinished business, right?
Yes,
All right. Good job. All right. First, we have Bill 24-62, an ordinance of the City of Osage Beach, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to execute a contract with First Mid-Bank and Trust. This is the second reading. This goes to City Treasurer Carrie Bell. She's not here tonight. Does anybody have any comments or questions? That can go on to April if we have any. Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve second reading?
Motion to approve.
Alderman Rucker, do I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Ross, roll call, please.
Alderman Ross.
Yes.
Alderman Rucker.
Yes.
Alderman Barella.
Yes.
Alderman Hoffman.
Yes.
Alderman Morose. Alderman Osteen.
Yes.
All right, second reading passes. Next, we have Bill 24-63, an ordinance of the City of Osage Beach, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to execute a contract with Hood and Associate CPAS PC for auditing services annual comprehensive financial reports for the years 2024 through 2028. This is the second reading also. Any comments or questions from the board? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve second reading?
So moved.
Alderman Ross, do I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Barella, roll call vote, please.
Alderman Osteen.
Yes.
Alderman Rucker.
Yes.
Alderman Barella.
Yes.
Alderman Ross.
Yes.
Alderman Hoffman.
Yes.
Alderman Morose.
All right, second reading, Bill 24-63 passes. Last part of unfinished business is Bill 24-64, an ordinance of the City of Osage Beach, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to approve a contract with Land Divisions for a city park slope stabilization project for an amount not to exceed $44,000. Andrew Bowman is city engineer. This is the second reading. Any questions?
No further comments at this time, but be happy to answer any questions if there are any.
All right. Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve second reading?
Motion to approve.
Alderman Hoffman, do I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Ross, roll call, please.
Alderman Morose. Alderman Hoffman.
Yes.
Alderman Barella.
Yes.
Alderman Rucker.
Yes.
Alderman Ross.
Yes.
Alderman Osteen.
Yes.
All right, second reading passes. New business, we have Bill 24-65, an ordinance of the City of Osage Beach, Missouri, amending ordinance number 23.90, adopting of the 2024 annual budget, transfer of funds for necessary expenditures for engineering professional services This is a request for the first and second reading. City Engineer Drew Bowman.
Mayor, members of the board, it came to my attention, processing some of the invoicing and different fees that are coming through the engineering department, and I then projected out what I felt was a good estimate for what we could potentially experience. And those are the numbers that are there in front of you right now. I do understand it's kind of a large number, but I think it speaks well for the city because this account primarily deals with the inspection of development and construction engineering and construction inspection, which is primarily consulted through Cochrane and a little bit with Barlow and West for the Oasis project. The fact that we need an amendment to cover the rest of those invoicings, I think is a good thing for the city. And I did my best to estimate as closely as possible for what I felt like those fees would be. I would be happy to answer any questions. I do recommend approval.
All right, comments from the board, questions? Alderman Osteen, please.
Devin, can I have you clarify the additional funds that they're requesting are coming out of what account being transferred to? Unrestricted funds? Where are we pulling the additional funds from?
We can take it from capital probably. We won't be spending all of the capital projects in Public Works. Or we can take it from unrestricted.
It might be, the error might be that I'm just unacquainted with how or where, obviously it's a zero-sum game. The money has to come from somewhere. I didn't quite understand how that worked exactly, so.
We formulated this after a previous budget amendment that was done prior to me being here, and that did not identify where the funds were coming from, so I was going off of the previous ordinance.
Yeah, my only concern is this is the first and second reading without having clarification exactly on where we're transferring the funds from.
Right.
And to clarify, I was asking for first and second reading because there is an invoice that's sitting on my desk that will be unable to be paid without some sort of amendment, so.
So anybody have any suggestions? Kevin, I'm looking at you.
Alderman Rucker.
What's our revenue projected for building permits? Because I believe that's probably going to be up for the year. Won't there be some additional revenue compared to what was budgeted? I unfortunately didn't get a chance to review that with everything, but that was one of the areas that I felt we might be able to get some, at least to finish this out this year. And as Devin said, you know, the unrestricted is always an area.
Alderman Ross, I'm sorry.
We can always contact Cochrane and see if they're willing to extend us some grace on paying these invoices and bring it back for a second reading, and we can find this out.
I don't believe we have to go that route. I just think here on the dais, we probably need to at least specify
Sure.
definitively where the funds are being transferred from. And I'm not sure how to go about doing that here.
Alderman Rucker, please.
Historically, we have. It was probably just the one that Devin looked at didn't have it. But historically, when we request a budget amendment, historically it does tell us where it's coming from.
Okay.
So it's just.
I will take care of that in the future.
Alderman Ross, you have something?
So first of all, as far as this question, I would recommend that we go ahead and, we owe the money, we need to go ahead and approve this. But if you could just get back to us, Devin,
Yep.
at the next meeting and let us know where it ended up, how you ended up looking at that and what you felt was best,
I
that
will
would be
absolutely
great.
do that.
So the one question I have is this all of the engineering that Cochrane does for us this year as far as what you're projecting? Or is it just for day-to-day type things versus project things?
So monthly we have a large invoice from Cochrane. I analyzed the data that was available in that invoice in addition to what was being tracked previously. I looked at breaking out each of those separate invoices that are attached to each individual item of construction, inspection, or engineering per project, and I tried to attribute those costs to each individual account. And this specific account is primarily general engineering that was not budgeted for exactly in last year's budget, but like they're looking at future projects. Also is, yeah, it's primarily construction inspection and primarily for commercial and now a little bit of residential construction inspection.
Okay.
But this is primarily, but there are other accounts that are charged monthly, but it is, I don't have a current concern with those accounts.
And so I realize you guys double duty here tonight, so I'll try to be quick.
He's a good boy.
We're all keeping an eye out for you.
Maybe a bit.
He's being active right now.
But it's fine. But so all I'm trying to get a handle on, and this is probably in the best places, somehow I'd like to quantify how much money are we spending a year with Cochrane? Because this is just a portion of it is what I guess I'm understanding.
Right,
And so with that said, and let me tag on to one other thing, and that is this, that is anybody tracking construction inspection costs compared to permitting fees? Because I'm beginning to understand, or beginning to be concerned, that we're collecting permit fees, and I don't know that we're, with all the Cochrane especially that we're doing, because I realize you don't have any inspectors right now, we're spending a lot more money on inspections than we are on permits, but I could be completely off. And if we're not tracking them, then I would ask that maybe we think about figuring a way to do so. I'll leave it at that. That's all I have.
Yes, sir.
So the bills are, or the invoices are separated out with construction, engineering, and professional engineering, which would be design work for each specific project. That was not tracked internally before, but it is what I'm used to. So if I have those invoices available in full, which I can probably request from Cochrane as well, it might take some time and some effort, but it is possible to separate those out.
So just to respond, and somebody that's went through this before, we're trying to manage projects and costs and so forth, I would recommend set up a system that puts most of the work on Cochrane, okay, on how they set up their invoices and how they submit somehow. That may take some different technology than we have today, but it will make, I don't expect you to sit down and do that. I'm sure you got more important things to be doing right now, but set up some systems that we can do that in the future and we can get some reflection and understanding of if our permit costs are sufficient. Because I'm not convinced they are right now. And they may very well be, but at least that would help us understand.
So, yeah, I think that system is in place. It just has not internally been tracked.
Okay,
So
fair enough.
I can track it going forward. I have last month's data. As soon as we get the next invoice, it's possible to track it in the future.
Fair enough.
Alderman Osteen.
I do have a request. This goes back to Devin. Can we add this to our department list for projects for them that they need to come back to us to clarify or give us updates on as far as what Alderman Ross has stated regarding permit fees versus application fees, et cetera, costs, et cetera?
Yeah, absolutely.
Can we?
Yep.
Okay.
Is that the document at the end of every board?
At the end one, where we go through and there's certain things for certain departments, we ask for ongoing updates.
Alderman Rucker.
Well, along the same lines, I had conversation with Drew on this subject and conversation with Devin, and has requested that it be put on the agenda for future meeting. What this information we're talking about here will need to come to us at that time, because the bottom line that I'm asking for is that I don't know if you've seen the information that Devin sent out to us in reference to some of the things that Drew is requesting in the budget-wise, but the bottom line is to get some inspectors. And so I've requested to her to put that on the agenda. I would like to see that done sooner rather than later. I would like to see the board take action on that as soon as we can to get that process started, because they've identified an area that the budget is suffering in, and they've identified how to take care of that. So rather than waiting until January to start the process, I've asked her to put it on the agenda so we can give the okay to it, so they can get that process started and maybe have somebody hired by the 1st of January to lessen that situation. And also, along with Alderman Ross's comment about what is the amount of time and money that we're spending for inspections as compared to what we're bringing in, because that's something that I think that justifies what we need to do, but it also gives us a handle on moving forward, as I've always advocated, keeping our fees in line. And do we need to raise our fees? Even though we're bringing inspection in-house, we still need to be quantify it and identify it to make sure our fees are appropriate for that. So, just some information on that.
Any other questions, comments? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve first reading?
Motion approved.
Alderman Ross, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Alderman Osteen, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, second reading, same bill. Bill 24-65, an ordinance of the City of Osage Beach, Missouri, amending ordinance number 23.90, adopting the 2024 annual budget, transfer of funds for necessary expenditures for engineering professional services. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve second reading?
Motion to approve.
Alderman Brucker.
Second.
Second is Alderman Barella. Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Osteen?
I did have a statement I was going to state.
Oh, I'm
before
sorry.
you did the roll call, but I can do it as part of this. I'm a yes with the caveat that at our next board meeting, basically, that we specify and pinpoint exactly where the funds we're transferring for this request are coming from, just so we've got it in writing and clarified for our citizens.
Absolutely.
But I'm a yes.
Very good.
Alderman Ross?
Yes.
Alderman Rucker?
Yes.
Alderman Barella?
Yes.
Alderman Hoffman?
Yes.
Alderman Rose?
All right, second reading passes. Next, we have Bill 24-66, an ordinance of the City of Osage Beach, Missouri, amending Section 3 sewage system to the Osage Beach Design Guidelines. First reading, again, City Engineer Drew Bowman.
Mayor, Alderman,
I was going to say yes, Drew.
the attention is a little split right now. Thank you for the grace.
You're doing
Grace,
fine.
this particular line of the design guidelines, I think, was initially missed from being revised. It states that there can basically be bends in gravity sewer lines, and that's not best practice. It should be stricken from the guidelines, and later on in the guidelines, it refers to that if any change of direction, vertical or horizontal, should be made, they should be made at a manhole so that access can be had and that we're providing the easiest maintenance for our city sewer crew. So I do recommend striking this from the guidelines and posting them as soon as possible.
All right, comments from the board? Questions? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve first reading?
Motion to approve.
Alderman Rucker, do I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Hoffman, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, first reading passes. Next, we have Bill 24-67, an ordinance of the City of Osage Beach, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to approve a contract with Four Seasons for the Summit Circle Drainage Improvement Project for an amount not to exceed $69,806. This, too, has been requested to be a first and second reading. Drew Bowman, please.
Mayor, members of the board, basically this project is a repair project so that we can repair infrastructure and get the storm drainage under control at this location. It's a project that was unbudgeted, but it is needed in a dire way. I do recommend approval. Be willing to answer any questions you might have.
Comments or questions from the board? Alderman Osteen.
I have one question. This goes to Cole. I'm not sure if it's a conflict of interest that I'm a Summit Point resident and this directly affects me or not.
Well,
I wish I'd known that before the meeting and I would have looked at it a little closer.
I am well versed on the situation because my neighbors are all constantly contacting me about this. I'm just not sure if it would be considered a conflict of interest to approve funds to repair a sewage system that directly affects me.
If you feel you have a financial interest in the matter, then you should recuse. Again, I without knowing, I don't know where your house is relative to this location. You know, like, yeah, I would have liked to have been able to have a little more time to think about it, but yeah.
It just dawned on me, so.
But if you feel like you have an interest in the matter, in the outcome of the matter, then yeah, recusal would be appropriate.
Now I'm on the spot on this.
That's the best.
I don't know.
It depends. It depends on if you feel like you have an interest in the matter.
Anybody else have any feedback on the?
Or maybe wait to see how the conversation goes. You might not be needed.
I don't think I can try to pull up the statute pretty quick, but
Well, before we do that, any other comments or questions from the board? Alderman Hoffman.
Why is this a first and second reading?
I can answer that.
Well, this has just been this has been something that the board has been kind of driving home, that we are not a fan of first and second readings. The first one, totally understand. I agree, we've got to get things paid. This does not seem like something that needs to be a first and second reading. And, you know, I kind of look at this as, I want to try and stop this now. And that moving forward, it's not becoming practice that these are become first and second readings because we just don't have time to go through the information. That being said, do we own that drainage?
no,
Okay, we don't own it.
no, we don't own the pipe that has failed.
Do we own any, do we own any of it?
We own the road, and the problem, we own the road and the box drain that leads to it, and so it's our water, and we need, and now that, and it was going through a pipe that we didn't own, which was fine, but now that that pipe has failed, we need to do something with the water. That's the nuts and bolts of it.
So when the water hits our drain, we own the water?
We have water coming off of our property at force, at speed. It's not just it's not a trickle. It's not a road that sits on the long side of the hill where it just water comes across and moves on. We are collecting water and focusing it to a point at a box drain.
And in your opinion, we have liability here?
We need to fix it, or we could. I don't think we have liability for the failed pipe that we don't own.
But we installed the road and the drain pipe, or the box pipe, that is funneling the water into the pipe that has failed.
So kind of,
basically,
we
we're
own
the one
some of
directing
it.
the water
and
into
some
the
We
of
need to
it
do
don't.
something with the water, and this is what engineering has come up with, and I think, because I've been out there, I believe this sits at the bottom of a V. So
Yes.
it's not like were this on a slope, we could block this drain and send it to the next drain if that drain had capacity, but it's not. So this is the only thing we can do with this water is send it downhill to the lake.
Right.
But it's,
Is this a unique situation, or is this something we're going to run into with other things that we don't own?
we're gonna run into this, but the solution to each one is going to be case by case. Like for instance, the example of if it's on a slope where there's another drain 100 yards downhill and it has capacity, it may be more cost effective to to just keep the water in the gut. There may be some other solution that's not $125,000, but in this particular situation, I've been out there. I don't know what else we can do with it, to be honest.
Okay, well, I've been out there too, and I agree with you, it's an issue. What does concern me is that, as you and I and Mike Welty went around, I think Richard was with us, and we looked at a lot of issues around town, and it becomes a slippery slope that all of a sudden we're rebuilding people's personal property or things we don't own, and I'm concerned that we do this, and now we're setting a status quo.
We are not doing this to rebuild someone's personal property. We are doing this project to dispose of water that we are responsible for disposing of.
Okay. All right, well, that's good enough for me for now, but again, I will reiterate, these first and second readings are something I think we really need to
Drew, you
get a
want to
handle
address
on.
that, please?
Yeah, I didn't use the term, but I think we've gone well past that line. It's an emergency repair, and so that's why I asked for a first and second reading.
Okay.
In my previous experience, there wouldn't have even been a like every project is brought to the commission at MoDOT and then they approve yes or no. An emergency project like this usually isn't even brought to the commission there. So that's why I asked for a first and second reading, that this is we are not dispersing stormwater in a proper way, and we need to do that so that we reduce risk.
Okay, well, fair enough. I appreciate it.
Cole's got an answer for you, Bob.
Statute provides that you can't vote if it confers a special monetary benefit on any of your immediate family. So if this doesn't do that, there's a couple other terms, but I think they all roughly track along those lines. So if it's not a personal benefit to you, it might be to your neighbors who are also your constituents, but as long as it's not a personal benefit to you or any of your family, then no, I don't think you have to recuse. So I was looking for the language, and it's special. It has to be a pecuniary, monetary benefit.
Yeah. I do have a comment, and this is to answer one of Hoffman's questions. Part of the delay on this and why it's probably coming up for a second reading is there was quite a bit of issue and background work that had to be done on were we given a legal easement for the property or that drain area. I know there was a lot of back and forth between the HOA, my HOA, as well as the city, because as you know, records going back 50 years ago sometimes are hard to produce and hard to interpret. That was part of the biggest delay on getting this addressed, was there was quite a few questions on ownership rights, easement rights, et cetera. So that's why it got to the point where it's now an emergency situation.
All right, any other comments from the board or questions? Alderman Ross.
So I'm going to take exception to the fact that this is an emergency. I worked in an organization one time that used that term quite a bit, and what it did was it was an easy way to hide the lack of proper planning. As one of my new bosses once told me, an emergency is when the electricity goes out and the open heart surgery patient is laying on the table. Now that's an emergency, okay? And so I would just, being part of an organization that once leaned on that all the time, and once we learned not to lean on that, we had to plan better. I recommend we be careful how we use that term, and that isn't a shot at you, Drew, because it's very common for people to do that. But what it does do, when you start doing those things, it doesn't demand that we have prior planning. And that brings me to expand on Alderman Hoffman's comments. First of all, we have apparently, and although we can't prove this, but apparently we've upgraded roads over time, and we've hooked onto what were existing stormwater pipes, okay? And I'm guessing that Summit Circle was built in the 80s, probably.
Late 70s or
70s or 80s. So now we know that corrugated metal pipe lasts less than about 40 or 50 years, okay? When they came through Harbor Heights in 2003, they connected to pipe that was already there. I'm sure when they went down Deer Run, if there was any pipe, they connected to that, okay? And while I don't believe that, I don't advocate that we go out and start searching every stormwater pipe to see what condition it is in, I do think that we should somehow systematically develop a plan to do some inspections. Because the challenge here is that we're gonna spend somewhere between, and I don't know what the engineering fees are here, but we're gonna spend between $75,000, $80,000, $85,000 for a piece of pipe that's about 200 foot long. And I realize there's a junction box in there, okay? We got, to put that in perspective, we got a road, Osage Beach Road, that's, I don't know, 3/4 of a mile long, a whole new road with sidewalk on both sides and all of that for $1.2 million. And this is a very expensive way to solve for these problems. And there's a much more proactive way to do it, and especially if you utilize lining before it fails this bad. And there's a lot of people here that are new, and none of you all have made any mistakes. It's how do we get better, okay? And so that's what I ask that we try to do, is not just accept this failure and go on wait till the next one, because from a branding standpoint, I think Bob can, the city and the board have not gotten a great, kudos about this. As a matter of fact, I'm sure there's some people you could talk to over there that probably don't think that we're very good people about this because of the way this was handled by some people that aren't with us any longer, okay? So with all that said, I hope that we strongly consider that, and that's all I have at this point.
Any other comments, questions? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve first reading?
Motion approved.
Alderman Rucker, second. Alderman Ross. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we're going to go to second reading, same bill, 24-67, ordinance to the City of Osage Beach, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to approve a contract with Four Seasons for the Summit Circle Drainage Improvement Project for an amount not to exceed $69,806. If I don't have any other further comments or questions, do I have a motion to approve second reading?
Motion to approve.
Alderman Osteen, do I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Barella, roll call vote, please.
Alderman Hoffman.
Yes.
Alderman Rucker.
Yes.
Alderman Osteen.
Yes.
Alderman Ross.
Yes.
Alderman Barella.
Yes.
Alderman Rose.
All right.
Alderman Rucker.
Yes.
Second reading passes. Last item of business is going to have a discussion on Phoenix Park Improvement Plan discussion. Eric Gregory, Parks and Rec Manager.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the board. As you'll remember, 2 years ago, our Parks Master Plan was complete, and in that plan, there were recommendations for improvements to Phoenix Park. Of the two parks that we have in the city, Phoenix is older. It is in need of improvements.
A little louder, please.
Okay. So as part of our master plan, that was my recommendation to move forward with the improvements in Phoenix first. The board did approve design and engineering funding for the improvements as part of the budget this year. And I worked with Mike Welty, previous Assistant City Administrator, and Cochran Engineering, and more recently Drew, quite a bit on planning this out. I believe in your packets, the information starts around 189 or 190, I think. So you'll have design plans and conceptual plans and pictures of proposed improvements, which include a destination playground, a large pavilion, and a splash pad. I think these will be very popular features for the park and very well received by the public. However, the cost estimates from Cochran for all three projects was around $2.7 million. I understand that that's a lot of money, so we decided probably the most responsible thing to do was to break it up into three phases. The first phase that we would like to start with is the destination playground. We think we're visualizing a boat-themed playground, and you'll see just an example of it in your packet. That's not the one that are going in the direction of. It's just an example. So what we're asking tonight basically is permission or direction that we would like to request an RFP bids from playground companies and then present that to the board for consideration and approval. And that's all I got. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions from the board? Alderman Rucker.
So you're looking for, well, what I thought you were looking for, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're looking for directions for 25 budget, because you're not looking to spend any of this money in 24.
Correct.
Okay, so you're not asking for approval to move forward with the project. You're asking approval or directions because I will have a problem approving it without seeing the whole budget.
I want to make sure we have the board's approval before we send out requests for bids, and then we'll bring those to the board for approval at that time.
Well, again, I won't give that approval.
Absolutely.
I will give guidance. I would say that I'm in favor of it to move forward, but I need to look at the whole budget. A smaller amount of money is one thing, but this big of a chunk of money, I don't want to give the false information that I am voting in favor of it when I haven't seen the whole budget. I'm not opposed to moving forward with it. I just would like to just make sure you're aware of that, that just when you get these proposals back in and they're within this $570,000, don't expect my yes vote, because I have to look at the rest of the budget. That's my feeling on it.
So
I'm in favor of moving forward, but just so you understand, there's still some other hurdles. It's called the big budget.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the plans are ready to put out to bid. There's no rush to put them out to bid. If we do put them out at the beginning of the year, I think that still gives us ample time to potentially construct it in the spring and still get favorable bidding. I don't know that there's a huge rush to put it out to bid sooner than later. I think it could easily be put out to bid sometime in the winter, maybe even late spring, but I think you're going to get into unfavorable pricing at that point.
I assumed that you were looking to reach out to get some firm numbers for your budgeting. That's what I thought, just to see if that's where the board
what
was
I
going.
wanted to do, Drew.
Okay. sorry.
Yes.
That's what I thought you were looking for, to reach out. And there's no sense, and I appreciate you bringing it, because there's no sense in you going that work if the majority of the board says we ain't doing it at all. And I think you're making the right steps. But I'm in favor of moving forward, okay? But I just want you to know that, don't get upset if all of a sudden when the budget time comes, I say no, because I've got to see the whole budget.
Yeah, I would like to send out requests for bids fairly soon so that we can include it on our budget next year if the board's in favor of that. And no surprises. Again, this $570,000, that's pretty standard for a destination playground. We're looking for something that people are going to talk about. I mean, we can order one out of a catalog easily, and pretty much what we have now, but it's not going to knock anybody's socks off.
Well, this is also what I thought we were going to be getting eventually anyway, when we had a discussion quite some time back, because we had a big picture. It's like, wait a second, let's bring this thing down into some phases and stuff. So I think we're on the, as far as I'm concerned, we're taking the right steps. The next step, you just want to firm up your playground number a little bit more to be able to put it into the budget. But, and I don't have any problem again with that, but I have to see the big budget. Thank you. I've said that.
All right, any other questions? Alderman Osteen.
Yeah, I think basically this, once again, this is just listed as discussion items. We're not holding our feet to the fire for anything. I think what Eric is trying to convey is there are 4 different amenities that we had discussed and basically as a group had approved as part of the master plan moving forward that we would like to see happen. I think they're just looking to say, okay, we've got a splash pad, we've got a playground, we've got a pavilion. What's our priority here? What do we think is most effective for our dollars, and what do we really want to prioritize on the phasing of these 4 items? I believe that's what you guys are looking for direction on.
I personally would like to start with the playground. It just makes
Okay.
more sense on the location, and then the way we phase it out, then the pavilion, then the splash pad, the way it's designed. But if the board wants to go in a different direction, I'm certainly open for that, so.
All right, like, it's just discussion, but I just want to clarify for the board that this wasn't us approving anything, it's just giving them more direction. I personally, my priority is the pavilion. And the reasoning is because that is a money generator in the discussions we've had on the playgrounds. That was going to be a facility that we could rent out for special occasions, weddings, reunions, et cetera, et cetera. So to me, anything we can do to offset costs with additional revenue, that's my priority. But that's just me personally.
Alderman Hoffman.
If you build a pavilion first and you don't have anything out there, who's going to rent the pavilion out? I mean, I think you got to have the amenities to go with it. But is there not a bathroom up here somewhere?
So later discussions, so the plans that they have is the one that included the bathroom in the pavilion. Later discussions, we decided it would be more cost effective to build a separate precast bathroom separate from the pavilion. It would be much cheaper and it would serve the same purpose. So that would be phase 2.
I just don't see it on the plans anywhere.
There is currently a bathroom in Phoenix.
Yeah, but it's over by the basketball court.
It is over by the basketball
But is
courts.
there a new one going to be built up here up top?
It can, but add $100,000 to that 570 price tag.
Well, I mean, to me, all of this is kind of academic if you don't put a bathroom up there by it. I mean, I think that, to me, I would go with the playground, but I would get the bathroom up in this area too. And that bathroom down there by that basketball court is old and terrible. It was there when I was in Little League. So, my opinion, whatever you're doing up there needs to have a new bathroom. That parking lot looks gigantic to me. Is that standard for the sizing of what we're doing?
It would be for, it would basically serve the new playground, the new pavilion with a bathroom of some kind, and the splash pad. And when we toured, it was
Sullivan and Union, yeah.
They had a tremendous draw with the splash pad. So I feel as if a free water-based amenity that everyone has access to would probably be a pretty big draw, and that you would need some parking spots at, max capacity.
Okay, that's fair enough, but then what, this parking lot down below, how is that? I don't see the need for that. What's the reasoning behind that?
The parking lot down below was part of a past bid proposal. It is not in the current bid. It was just left in there, so you can take that out of there.
And in top left, that looks like it's just undeveloped land back there. Is that not to be used for anything, or kind of up the road from the new playground?
That, we currently have a swing set there. We're more than likely going to leave it in and then just have that as a green space.
Okay.
And we might put something in there later on, It's not a bad thing to have open space that we can do something with. We toured other parks department, as Andrew said, in Sullivan and Union, and the draw for this it's very, very popular for the small children. The extra parking will be needed. I think the first phase, we can make do with our current parking lot, certainly, possibly even if we go ahead and add the pavilion. But when the splash pad is put in, there's going to need to be additional parking.
Okay. Well, I like the plan. It hurts my heart to see my Little League field go away. But this is a really good plan. I think it's a good thing for Osage Beach. So, well done.
Alderman Rucker.
Well, number one, we have a pavilion there already. Number two, we have bathrooms there already. The playground, we used to have a decent playground there. Now we have an embarrassing playground there. And we have no other place in our community that the kids have for a playground area. So I see the playground as the number one priority. I don't see a need to do the bathrooms with it. We already have the bathroom facilities there. Yeah, they are a little bit of a distance away, but we're doing this in phases. So I think we just need to, if we had enough money, I'd like to do it all at once. But at this stage, I don't think we will. Haven't seen all the budget, but I don't think we will, unless we choose to ask the taxpayers for some money just for the parks. And the taxpayers have not been supportive of giving any additional revenue. So I think we have to just deal with what we have and tailor down what we spend to what the taxpayers are giving us. And I think that phase one of a playground is most important to me. Thank you.
Alderman Ross.
So I'm not familiar with the playground, and I'm not sure with the existing playground, and I'm not sure what condition it's in, but apparently it's not that great. I'll take your word for it. And if we don't have any playgrounds, then I guess playgrounds are important. I will tell you that my perspective on what feedback I've received is this splash pad is going to be the most popular piece of all the things that we're doing here. And if that's the case, then I'm not sure why we're focusing on it last, okay? In my mind, we need to go after that and potentially the playground, because we need to get the big, one thing I've heard up here is we need to do something, amenities for the people that have moved here, okay? I'm not convinced there's a whole lot of people that are, and Bob, with all due respect, are clamoring for a pavilion and a restroom. It sounds like a playground. Eric, you agree with that, but is there some cost issue with doing the splash pad and/or the playground first compared to other items? In other words, if it's going to cost twice as much to develop that ground first, well, okay, that makes sense. But if we're going to get the biggest bang for our buck, because things aren't going to get cheaper, I'd rather get the things that get our biggest bang for our buck first than wait till, for example, asphalt costs. Honestly, oil costs are pretty cheap now. This ain't a bad time to do parking lots, to tell you the truth, okay? So I think that if we look in that particular vein, that maybe these phases, while I agree that they need to be phased, I'm not convinced that I support the order of the phases, okay? So.
Yeah, we were just chunking it out so that you can pick whichever phases that you want to go with first. We made our recommendation, that you guys can set whatever priorities you feel best. I think that's kind of what.
Just to clarify, so the board knows, we did have 2 playgrounds in Phoenix. 2 years ago, we had to remove one because there were parts that were broken. When I followed up with the company that built the playground, it was no longer in existence. We could no longer get parts. It was put in 1997, so we had to remove it. The playground that's there now is for smaller children. It's really not for anybody over 5. It's not a bad playground. It's just smaller, you know. One thing to keep in mind with starting with the splash pad, most splash pads that we have seen have a pavilion nearby for shade because it is out in the open. You know, it's hot and everything, so you need a place for kids to get out of the sun. That's why we propose starting with the playground, then the pavilion, and then the splash pad, so that they would have some place for shade. And it is going to be a popular area, and I believe the pavilion will be rented out quite a bit, especially when you add a splash pad, so.
Alderman Osteen.
One of my concerns with all these artist renderings, be it the splash pad or the playground, et cetera, is where are the parents sitting? Where are the adults going? If you look at the renderings, you see 2 park benches on one of them. You see one and another one for the splash pad and the playground. Obviously, adults, parents, they've got to sit somewhere. They've got to be somewhere. That's where I was confused looking at the renderings of, okay, that's great. Let's take our kids to the splash pad. Where are the adults sitting? What are the adults doing? That's more pavilion.
Just to give you an idea that we can certainly add seating and everything later on.
Well, pavilion would be where they probably want to sit.
There you go.
That's all.
Alderman Rucker.
I agree with Alderman Ross with the splash pad. The problem is I don't think that we can do the splash pad and the playground both at the same time. The reason I preferred the playground is pretty well a 365-day-a-year facility. And the splash pad is pretty well a 3-month facility. And that was my only reason. I agree with Alderman Ross 100% that that's going to be the most popular, but I'm just looking at that's how we should phase it in that fashion. I think the only thing we're talking about here is phase 1. If we want to get into phase 2, 3, and 4, I mean, yeah, I was just looking at seeing what I felt was the first one to move forward. And so that's all I have.
Kerry, did you have something?
Yeah, I did. I mean, if you know, for what it's worth, as a parent of now 15-year-olds that don't care about, you know, parks and all that stuff so much, when they were younger and I lived in this community, the one thing that we did not have really was playgrounds. And we legitimately, I took the kids to Camdenton, to Eldon, to Versailles. From time to time, we would go down, you know, to the one that's in the big park, but we always had to go somewhere else to play on the playgrounds. You know, splash pads are great, but what Alderman Rucker said about it being 365 is 100% the truth. We did most of our time in the spring and fall playing outside on playgrounds, and you know, it's certainly something. As a parent who lived in the area and would have loved to have had more for my kids, that's just my 2 cents.
Yes, sir, Cole.
I'll just agree with what Kerry said. As somebody who was on a playground today, Drew and I were both out there for our school's King's Kids Day. The best playground we've got is in City Park, and it wouldn't be top 5 in Lebanon. It wouldn't be top 5 in Lebanon. Our playgrounds are not anywhere close to. I mean, there are churches in town that have playgrounds 10 times as nice as that one, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's in great shape. It's very nice, but it's very simple. And yeah, I mean, I do agree that I love a good splash pad. My kids love a good splash pad, but you know, we'd get more out of your residents are going to get more out of the playground first because it's 365.
The playground in City Park is exactly what Cole said. I call them cookie cutter playgrounds. There's nothing wrong with it. It's very heavily used. There are families and kids there every day. There's family and kids at Phoenix Park every day using the small one. So yeah, it's a little underwhelming, a destination playground, something unique that people talk about from other towns. That's the direction we want to go.
Alderman Hoffman.
Yes, my now 14-year-old, when he was 5 to 7 to 8, it was playground, splash pad, playground, splash pad. So I would agree with you guys. Just in reference to the bathrooms, I don't know whether it needs to be in phase 1 or phase 2 or phase 3. to me, I was thinking whenever you're doing the water for the splash pad, there could be an advantage to doing the bathroom at the same time. I adamantly believe there needs to be a new restroom facility up there around this, around the pavilion maybe. That bathroom that's down there, not only is it far away, when I say it's old, it is old and bad. All right, it's usable, sure, they maintain it as best they could, but I think it was built in the mid-'70s maybe. It's old.
It is old. It works. We've replaced all of the toilets in it since I've been there. We have done cosmetic. We've repainted. We've been put in new dryers. It's a little bit of a walk down to it. It all comes down to how much money does the board want to spend? Because again, we can certainly add a precast CXT bathroom, a simple one, to phase one. But at a minimum, it's another $100,000, just for the bathroom itself and the site work, plumbing, but we can certainly do that.
Well, if it makes sense, if there's some kind of advantage to doing the water at the same time as the restroom, I would like to see that plan come back with a restroom tied to the phase of the splash pad, whether it be first or second or third. I do agree that the playground should come first, but I think it's ridiculous to go this far down and improving this thing and not putting a restroom up there. So,
Just for clarification, is the board in favor of including a bathroom in phase one, or would you all rather wait?
Alderman Ross.
Just to answer your question real quick, and some others can probably want to fill it in, I don't see that, if I'm understanding this right, the bathroom goes with the pavilion.
Yes.
Okay.
It was intended for phase two, yes.
Okay. So I don't see the need for the bathroom at this point, okay? In my mind, the best value after listening to everybody and the idea of the pavilion with the splash pad, sorry, the light bulb went on a little late for me on that one, but it makes sense. But in my mind, especially the way things are going right now, I'd say put the playground in with the parking lot, and then the pavilion goes in with the, and bathrooms would go in with the splash pad, is what I would recommend at this point.
agreed.
If we can afford it.
Huh?
If we can afford it,
Well,
just two phases.
I realize if we can afford it, we can't afford it today, especially, depends on what happens, but, we've seen the price of oil be twice this much, not too recent, not that far back. So, and believe me, parking lots all depend on the price of oil. Put too many of those in to know. So just my 2 cents on that.
Alderman Rucker, did you have something else?
I'm just going to say, it's broken up into the phases. I think everybody's, it sounds like to me, the general consensus is the playground first. I think the splash pad is second. When that bathroom and parking lot fits in there, I think Alderman Ross put it pretty bluntly there, that you do need the bathroom, the parking lot with the playground.
talked
So,
about that.
you've got the two different numbers. And I think next year we do the playground and the parking lot, and we squeeze enough money out of the budget, maybe we do more next year. But right now, I don't think there's a lot of time and energy would be spent towards that. My 2 cents.
Just to clarify, I do not think the parking lot is part of phase one, correct, Drew? I think that was just for playground.
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
Correct.
So we can certainly add that on there.
Later on in the package.
Yes. I think we had talked about phase four as the parking lot. Yes.
Yeah, and we broke the parking lot out by itself because basically you don't want to build a new parking lot and then the very next year have to cut through it to bring the sewer line or water line. You don't want to bring in a bunch of construction trucks and tear it up, your brand new parking lot. If you have some heavy duty concrete trucks, et cetera, stopping and starting on your brand new asphalt and it's a hot day, it's not the best for it. And that's kind of why we put it at the end after basically all the other amenities and all the draw is there. Then you could go and improve the parking so that it could be maximally accessible to the public without being damaged by other construction means.
Very good. Well, this is a discussion. Oh, did you have something else?
So along that line, Drew, that's a great point. I agree, you want to put your parking lot in last, but I didn't realize, is that going to be the only access point for all of these projects, is through that parking lot area? Because it looks like there may be access from the other side to all these other amenities, but maybe they can't come off the highway or something, I'm not sure.
With the removal of the baseball field, I believe you might be able to access it from the bottom over here, possibly. I don't remember the grade. It's not that bad, but yes, I think coming off of the highway, that might be possible.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, below the field, for lack of a bit, like from the lower parking lot, I don't think that would be very accessible because we're putting in stairs right here.
Yes.
And so I think that's pretty steep. You could potentially come off of, on, what is this, the west side of the northwest corner of the
Northwest corner,
park.
right.
I think I heard at some point, I'm not sure from whom, that there might have been a second entrance there at some point. But there could potentially be sidewalk there at some point that we may need to keep in mind.
Is that not a driveway rather than a road? I believe that's a driveway rather than a road that you're talking about. So we
No, there's a driveway very close, but I think there's another not so steep area that you could potentially consider an entrance if you wanted to. But that is Highway 42, you'd have to get that permitted and allowed by MoDOT.
Well, do you have enough information, Eric, to proceed, or?
What are you looking for?
If the board's in favor of sending out a request for bid, then we can proceed, get bids back, and I can present that at a meeting later on, and
I think that's a general consensus.
If you want to send it out, I'll just tell you my experience of someone who's put out projects like this for a very long time. The difference between now and going out the 1st of December is negligible. Everybody's kind of closed up their year. They're not looking at projects for next year. They're going to be looking, Drew, you tell me, you've been through some paving projects too. They're usually looking for projects that bid in December and January and February. Now, will they always wait till the end, no matter what deadline you give them? Absolutely. Okay, and they'll ask for favors also, or for extensions also. I'm just not convinced that there's a lot of value in sending it out in the middle of October by the time you get it together or whatever versus the middle of December. And I think that by the middle of December, you'll have a lot better picture of what we can or can't afford, is what I'm trying to say. That's your all's call.
Yeah, I mean, I feel as if this engineering estimate has been well thought out, well keyed in. I think we could reliably use these numbers for a 2025 budget conversation. And then from those budget conversations, we could wait, make sure that it can be put in the budget. The plans are ready for bid now, but that doesn't mean that we don't have to put, and right now we don't have a direct direction on which phase or phases that we want to go with. So I think, to your point, I think it would make sense to go through the budget conversation. I think we were just trying to present and make sure everyone on the board agreed kind of with the phased approach, and you can select 1, 2, or 6 phases if you wanted to, depending on what the budget looked like.
to be clear, I've been in contact with 10 to 15 playground companies last year and this year. A lot of them call me every month to see what the status of this is. So a lot of them are ready to go. They've already sent me designs just to show what they can do, you know. So it's whatever the board wants to do. Again, I was going to send it out. That way we have a number for budgeting purposes.
Nothing wrong.
But I can wait.
So I'll just say this, and there's nothing wrong with that, and decide what you want to do. It doesn't really matter. It's always best if I can remember our company, they always wanted it bid out before they ever budgeted for it too, because then they had an exact number that they could lean on. But then you always have the problem of, well, I put somebody to work on this and then we didn't go through with the budget. What I would like to see, you guys decide what you want to do about when you want to put it out, but a little more thought behind how could we potentially do the playground in the parking lot early and make sense out of that. Because I know from an access standpoint, that may not be easy, and it may not even be possible. Because to your point, Drew, I don't know where the water and sewer are. I don't want to cut, it drives me crazy when people cut our streets, let alone a brand-new parking lot, depending on that location. But would it be possible to build this, to put the parking lot in with the playground and not sacrifice the integrity of the parking lot significantly?
Yep.
And I'm not sure you guys are ready to answer that question right now.
Part of the first phase is demo.
Right.
If you wanted to change and kind of, if you feel like the master plan is a good one and you feel like you're committed to all the phases just eventually, we could easily stub out and do a bunch of the prep work first in preparation. And you could, I don't know how you limit construction damage to the parking lot. I mean, I think that's something you just have to live with if you built it up front. But as far as water, sewer, and other utilities, you could stub it all out first, is when we're doing the demo anyway.
Alderman Hoffman.
One last thing, sorry. Once you brought up demo, is it possible to do the demo, set up the parking lot and not go as far as paving it to where it could be overflow parking unpaved? Kind of how we're going down at the city park now, but at least we have a plan to pave it, but we just pave it last.
I believe it's against city ordinance to have gravel parking lots. Is that
Well,
correct, or future construction?
I wasn't suggesting gravel, but
Something else, or?
Well, when we
Just
do
options.
roads, or when developers do roads, they build and construct roads or parking lots, and they'll put the first lift of asphalt in and allow construction to take place. And then when construction is completed on the facilities and the structures, they'll come back in with the final lift. I would suggest that be something that we look into that provides a hard surface parking and drive area that everyone can use, including those, who need accessibility for the ADA. And then if there is any damage, we will have somebody coming back in to apply the final lift of the parking lot. That's what I would suggest that we take a look at.
That's what we just approved on the Pruitt's Point TDD.
Okay.
The last meeting or the one before that.
Sorry, I didn't know I was talking with that off. I'm doing that for all the record, and I didn't even turn it off.
well, that seems like a good path forward to me. Thank you.
You have direction then, sir?
So do I get the consensus that we want to move forward with requesting bids for the playground and parking lot?
Why not?
Looks
Sure.
like it.
Sure.
Okay, that's what I'll do.
Jump on it.
It's not a
Thank you,
commitment to fund it, it's just an okay to go ahead and bid it.
To bid it? Yes. No, that's
for
not what I
clarity.
know. It's all good.
Thank you very much to both of you. All right, next we're going to move on to staff communications. We'll start with our city administrator, Devin Lynch.
I just want to thank all the department heads. You guys have been awesome about getting me all the budget information. Working on that diligently. Hopefully we'll have everything wrapped up by the end of next week. So I really appreciate everybody getting me their stuff. That's all I have.
All right, assistant city administrator, April White.
I wanted to thank Doug Damron and the IT department, especially Travis this week. The new accounting specialist started this week, Torrance Shirts, and obviously not just him, but there's been a ton of transition, as you all know, new employees and just existing employees moving around, and that has created a ton of work for the IT department and for the building department, and they've just stepped up to the plate and made it happen fast, and I just think we're definitely moving in a positive direction with all the staff, with the new transitions and the new staff. So just wanted to mention that.
All right, thank you. City clerk, Tara Barrett.
Turn on my microphone. Just getting ready to send out about 625 contract renewal applications. They keep coming in like crazy. Ron's keeping them busy. So other than that, we just staying busy in the clerk's office. Thank you.
City attorney, Cole Bradbury.
I'll second what April said about Doug. I'm one of the people who moved, and he's worked wonders on that office, so do appreciate all of his hard work. Looks great, and I think everyone else is jealous of our paint color. So, and also wanted to compliment Eric and the park staff. Drew and I were both out there today for a school event for our kids' school, and place looked great. Fish, the pond was well enough stocked that my 5-year-old was able to catch 2. So, yeah, had a great time, and park is in great shape.
Very good, thank you. Chief Davis.
I don't know if anybody had the chance to see the Lake News. They did their Reader's Choice Awards, but Officer Carson was voted the #1 police officer. All these votes were actually tabulated late July, early August, so it was before the crash. So she had a full 1-page article or story in the insert that they used in the paper. Also want to thank Jamie. I don't know if anybody has seen Tyler, or Tucker, the dog that we responded to and picked up last week. Public Works Zach and his guys took it to the vet and got it all cleaned up, and now we're trying to get it adopted. But big transformation. If you haven't seen the pictures on Facebook, go to the Facebook page, take a look at it. And then just staffing update, we're at 7 in dispatch. Did a couple backgrounds, and they unfortunately didn't pan out, so we got another interview going tomorrow, and PD's got 1 in background. So we're 2 short in the police department and 4 short in communication still. So we're trying to get there, though. That's all I got.
Thank you, and that dog was unbelievable transformation.
Oh, yes.
And so happy. Yeah.
Todd,
Speaking
can
of
I ask,
happy.
you said 4 short in the 911?
Yeah, we're at 7 now.
Okay, okay, got it. I wasn't sure what the starting number was. That's kind of been a moving target at times, so.
7 out of 11.
Got it, thanks.
Speaking of happy, Ron White, building official.
Speaking of what? I'm sorry, I didn't.
Speaking of being happy, Ron
Oh,
White, building
yes.
official.
Hi,
yes.
yeah, I'm a very happy guy. Thank you. I just wanted to mention that the building department is now down 1 staff member. We are hiring a new secretary. I want to congratulate Selena Franklin for being hired, promoted to the accounts payable position. We had a wonderful run of 6 months, and I hate to lose her, but I'm thankful that she's staying with the city of Osage Beach. That's all I've got.
City planner.
Yes, Mayor. Planning Commission meeting next Tuesday. We will be taking a look at a possibility of a new, pretty decent-sized mixed residential use development. So watch us on TV if you can't come in, but it will then come to the Board of Aldermen for your review and your decision next month. So.
Very good. Ty Dinsdale. Airport.
Yes, I do have an update this evening. The big anticipated hangar roof project at Grand Glaze is due to kick off Monday, October 14th.
Very good. All right, Derek Gregory, you got anything else for Parks?
Yes, happy to report that the new Osage Beach Lowe's Bark Park is almost complete. I want to thank Jesse Campbell, the manager of our local Lowe's, and about 5 or 6 volunteers from that store. This would not happen without them. It is a lot of work. I encourage those at home and the board to take a drive-by and take a look at it. We're pretty confident that by the end of the day, Tuesday, the dog park itself will be complete for the ribbon cutting next Saturday. We still have to add the shade features and everything, but it will be usable. We're very excited about that. We're very, very busy preparing for Fall Festival, which is next Saturday, October 12th, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. It's going to be a good day. We'll have a ribbon cutting for the dog park at 11 a.m. We will have a dog Halloween contest and prizes for that and giveaways for those that attend. Fall Festival is going to be, looks like good weather this year. Got a few new things joining us, live music, bounce houses, petting zoo, law enforcement, military representation. We even have some blacksmiths this year, so if you want to go see blacksmithing demonstration, buy some things. We are getting ready to send out another request for proposal for the ball field management contract. I believe Cole is working on finalizing that and probably hoping to get that out maybe next week, if all goes well. And happy to report we had a vacant park tech position, and we offered that and have filled it, and that gentleman will be starting later on this month. We'll be fully staffed. And that is all I have.
Very good, thank you. Drew Bowman, engineer.
The new GIS technician is here. His name is Morgan. He's already jumped in with both feet. He was in meetings all day. Was it today and yesterday? All day today and yesterday with Zach in Public Works to get a feel for the integration to all of your cartograph stuff. I think he's been out in the field several times. I think he's already been a tremendous help, and I'm happy to have him on board. And I think we really lucked out with getting him here and at the city.
All right, thank you very much. Zach Willer, Public Works.
Thank you. I'll piggyback on what Drew said. It was a big loss for us when we lost Thomas early in the spring, and it's really refreshing to have Morgan here. Just with being around him a little bit and talking with him, I'm really excited about the direction he's going to take it and the things that he's going to be able to do. So it's exciting and really welcome to have him. As far as staffing concerns go, we're 3 down in the sewer. We have 2 job offers that got accepted, and they should be starting soon. We're 1 down in transportation, but we have an offer out for that job. The Vapex unit was delivered, be 2 weeks ago, tomorrow. It has not been installed yet. A lot of the initial prep work has been done. We built a retaining wall to set the unit on. The water is there. The holes have been cored. The piping set. The sewer department's getting pretty beat up lately, so they haven't had time to do it. We will be making it a priority next week. And I do want to thank the guys. It seems like the majority of them have getting beat up pretty bad lately, even though we're in the slow season. And sewer guys especially, they've been putting in some long hours the last few days. And, admirably, they just get out and work and do it and stay late and come back the next day. And, it's a thankless job, but they're putting in the hours, and I really do appreciate all of them. So thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, Alderman Rucker.
Yes. Yes, Mayor. A couple of things. Number one, haven't heard anything back in reference to the lodging tax situation. Do we have somebody on city on point to move forward to see what we can do? I brought this up at the last meeting or a couple meetings ago to see what we could do to support that. Do we know anything at all about that? Does somebody need to be on point? Is the board not in favor of trying to push forward to see what we can do to support that? Or just where are we at, or do I need to put it on an item for discussion at a meeting to get some feedback from the rest of the board? Because I think we should be moving forward or finding out something about what's going on. Do we know anything at all?
Well, I would definitely suggest put it on discussion if you want it, because I know we have talked about it. If the entire lake wide would be much better than just the city of Osage Beach.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
But as far as where to start, it'd be a discussion item, because I certainly don't know where the first phase is. Alderman Hoffman, did you have something on that?
I did. Thanks for letting me interrupt. We did talk about this. It was maybe a month ago. I'm not sure if you were here for it. Kind of the consensus was we wanted to give the county, give the lake an opportunity to try and solve this problem without us taking the lead on it. And there was not really a window of how long we were going to give, but I think it's time for a discussion piece myself, because I don't think it's going to get done unless we take the lead on it, personally.
We discussed this at strategic planning, and what I took away from that was that we were going to see if there was a regional effort first. As to timeline, I think the logical timeline would be to allow a full legislative session doesn't start till January, it'll end by mid-May. So to me, you know, if, as the mayor said, if we're talking about going, you know, not just the city, but the whole region, I think it's worth seeing how the region, you know, obviously there are a lot of people invested in the old TCLA system. So seeing how that process plays out, and I think giving that a legislative session to work itself out would be the logical step. And if at strategic planning next summer, if there's nothing that's progressed by that point, then we would need to reevaluate. But I think before the end of this legislative session, it's probably premature, would be my opinion.
Well, I thought we were kind of all on the same page of wanting to do it regionally. That's I know that's where we want to see it first. But somebody's got to kick the can down the road. You know, whether it's the existing TCLA and Convention and Visitor Bureau's old boards, which are still boards in place there. But, you know, somebody needs to rattle the cage of our legislators. You know, somebody needs to within our area here, kick that can going. And
I think you might be that person.
You know, well, I think that the city needs to figure out if that. I'm not going to speak on my behalf of myself. You know, it's the city that needs to determine if that's what we want to do. And I'm not in favor of the city doing it by taking a lodging tax by themselves. This needs to be a regional approach. We just need to find out some info. If nobody has done anything to find it out, I'll try to find some stuff out.
Very good.
Can I just, so
Sure.
my thought on it to Kevin is this. It's going to take 6 months to a year, maybe a year and a half, before everybody realizes what the cost of not having that tax is. And that's when you're probably going to see, if there is going to be anything regional, which that's what I support too, it needs to be, quote, regional. That's when that's going to come. There's implications to CVB. CVB's operating, from what I gather, is dependent, or at least significantly, some reasonable amount of dependency upon income and revenue from TCLA. And there's going to be, you know, there's going to be a rude awakening somewhere in the next 6 months to a year and a half. And that's when there may be some, lack of a better term, momentum for some type of regional support. But my instinct is it's going to probably take that long before any of that momentum tends to appear. So what we can do in the meantime, other than, you know, I'm sure the mayor runs across folks that are in that world, and if we're in our world, you know, there's other folks that I run across every once in a while and see what their thoughts are. I mean, the people that I have ran across all agree that it should be done something regional, but everybody's looking at everybody going, well, who's going to go first? Okay. And I just don't, I think that's the best thing. All you can do is let that play out until somebody steps up.
Okay, thank you. I received some information by an email from one of our citizens, and fortunately, the same day, I received my citywide utility bill. I was not happy. I will be very honest. For those of you that don't know what I'm speaking about, I'm talking about the fact that effective January 1, there's now going to be a surcharge and a fee for those people that use credit cards. That's basically what it says on our utility bills. We put that into place back in the COVID time, if my memory serves me correct. And a number of the reasons we put it into place at the time, I don't know if people that have changed this process were aware of it, but some of those many things was the fact that it was supposed to be cost effective because we were going to be able to have people not have to come into City Hall, not make contact, which is a safer environment, not only from a medical situation, but from just the fact of people being in and out of the building, even though I'm not opposed to people being here, but it's a more efficient way to pay your bill. You know, I don't walk down to the utility company and bang on their door and hand them my bill. And the other thing is by the credit card usage, at least it's available, and I don't know how many people are using it, but you have the opportunity to set it up where it's automatic pay. Therefore, there is no checks to be to be transmitted. There's no checks that people have to take and open up envelopes and deal with. It's automatically put on their account, and at the time of the month that it's due, there's just automatically takes it out and charges it to their credit card. Boom. That's another thing that was, again, cost effective, utilizing technology, lessen the amount of people that have to deal with it, and saving the labor. Now, it's not as interactive as we had before, but it is more cost effective. And even though there was additional fees that we were going to be creating, the amount of that was considered to be minimal compared to all those other benefits. Now, I don't know if those benefits that were spoken of then were ever quantified, but there was enough information at that time that I was totally in favor of it, 100%. I'm still in favor of it. And in order for me to support not doing whatever we can to reverse the decision that was made, I'd like to see why we did that and why, if all this information is not beneficial to both staff and the city, to continue on with that effort. And apparently that decision was made within staff, and I'm opposed to it. Maybe softened a little bit more if I can be sold on it, but I have a real tough sale. So I'd like to see if that needs to be put on a discussion item. Unless the rest of the board is poo-pooing it, I won't waste the time any more than what I have. But if the rest of the board has some favorability of what I just asked for, I would ask that to be placed on a discussion item to possibly reverse that. I see one shaking head. No, yes, don't care.
No, I mean, put it on a discussion piece, that's fine.
Would you please do that, Devin? Yeah. Thank you. The Parkway. A little history for those that have been around forever like me. We took the Parkway over a number of years ago. And when we took the Parkway over, we basically, and I'll have some of the numbers screwed up, but we basically sold, we took the Parkway over and we got the state to give us a bunch of money. That money they gave us was so that we could buy equipment and so that we could eventually resurface the road, down the road. We put that money, we come up with that amount, it was determined, it was put it into a restricted, I guess, account in transportation so that we've got money to do that. And we're supposedly doing that in 26, I think it is, 27, somewhere around that time frame, I think was the time frame. Concern I have now is the fact that I do not believe back then consideration was given to the cost of what it's going to be for us to do that. From some stuff I picked up from MML, some stuff I picked up from talking with our city engineer, I don't believe there was money put aside to rebuild all the sidewalks. And it's my understanding that we are going to have to rebuild all those, not all the sidewalks, all the asphalt sidewalks. We've got a number of sidewalks in this city that do not meet the ADA requirement. And so one of the things that I learned at MML was the fact that once you redo some of these roads to a certain redo them, you've got to bring them up not only the road, but you've got to bring the sidewalks up to ADA. If you don't bring up to ADA, then the federal government's going to take and cut your funds for any potential cost or any potential grants. We're on the verge of working down a real heavy grant process here, wanting to go for additional grants after this $1 million one we're doing, but we're going to cut our nose off if we can't take care of those sidewalks, because then we won't be up to ADA compliance. What's that going to cost? Has that been included? I don't believe it was, because my conversation eons ago was the fact that the people that were in the know, so to speak, said, well, we don't have to worry about that. They're not a sidewalk, they're a shoulder, they're this, and that's not really the situation. So that's my limited knowledge of what went where, and I think that we need to make sure that we're on the right page before 2026 gets here and we don't got enough money to do the project right.
And if anyone has any further questions or concerns about that, I'd be happy to answer any of your questions.
Am I on somewhat correct page, or am I way off?
Well, without getting down the rabbit hole, Yes, at some point, the federal government decided that when you do a substantial maintenance project on a road, if it has ADA facilities on it, those must be brought up to current ADA compliance standards. Asphalt sidewalks can be ADA compliant. They're just very hard to do so because of the very, very tight restrictions on those. Without knowing, I would hazard a guess that our current asphalt sidewalks on the parkway would not meet compliance right now. To further that, basically all of the sidewalks will have to be evaluated on the parkway or any road that you pave with a substantial either overlay or mill and fill that you're going to have to evaluate them, determine what is and isn't in compliance, and upgrade what isn't. And yes, if those things aren't met, they might preclude us from getting federal grants, specifically ones for sidewalks.
I think there's some more background that needs to be done, even though it's a couple years away, but sidewalk project may be part of some things. Thank you.
All right, Alderman Brillo.
And just work on keeping it short and sweet. I have nothing to add.
Very good. Alderman Hoffman.
A couple things, Jamie, well done. I've been tracking all of our social media stuff. It looks very good. The information is going out. It is easy and accessible, and it's branded well. It looks really good. So keep it up. Dog park looks like it's coming along outstanding. Thanks to Lowe's, thanks to Eric and Drew for all the hard work. Thanks to Mike Welty for in the past getting this ball rolling. I'm very excited about it. As far as the, I think maybe a discussion piece about Tri-County or the lodging tax maybe at the first of the year is maybe the right thing to do. I hear what Cole's saying, but I hate to wait 9 months to even talk about it. But and waiting a year and a half to see how bad it is, I just hate to take that approach. But I think it's probably too early. We're probably jumping the gun to do it now. And just lastly, we've replaced a lot of people in the city over the past 4 to 6 months, from top leadership all the way down. I know I was personally, there's a lot of institutional knowledge leaving, a lot of people I've really enjoyed working with, and it really has, I've been very impressed with how seamless the transition seems to be. Everyone just seems to be on the same page, and things are moving forward, and I know I appreciate it, and it's good to see. So thank you to Devin all the way down to our staff. Well done.
Thank you. Alderman Osteen.
I just have two quick things this evening. One is a quick request. I guess I can direct this to Devin or April or possibly Cole. Prior to Gina's departure, we had discussions regarding our involvement with the Tri-County Lodging Association, and we discussed our existing contract with them for marketing and PR. I believe that Gina was going to get back with us to kind of tell us when our contract ended with them.
It ended abruptly.
Okay. Because I remember the discussions were, we were still had a contractual obligation with them for marketing and PR, and we're giving them money. We never had any follow-up, though, so if you could maybe...
I believe I received information just last week that was terminated, and they sent me a final bill and showed me what the marketing had been done in August, and that was done.
Okay. So we were officially, that was the conversation we had prior, was when are we out?
It's complete.
So we basically have severed all ties with TCLA.
Correct.
I just want to clarify that. My next one's real quick, and it's kind of a procedural question. I'm going to direct this to Cole. I'm the individual who called the executive session after the regular board agenda.
Yes.
But I want to table it and add it to the following board meeting. I'm not sure the procedure for that.
Well,
because we'd have to get out of,
The procedure was they told me and I told them, so.
Okay. So we don't have to do any motions or.
if nobody makes a motion, we don't go into closed session. Simple enough.
All right. I'm tabling this for discussions on some items I have for the next meeting. That's all.
All right, thank you much. Alderman Ross.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Real quick, I want to recognize, I've not even met her, but apparently you're Jamie, and hi, Jamie. Recognize you and thank you for setting up the Teams meeting for Monday. I always wondered if you could go down the highway at 90 mile an hour and be on a call and you know, a Zoom call and a meeting, and not that I would recommend we do that regularly, but I pulled it off.
Did you say 90?
We hope it's not 90.
My daughter was driving 90, it is what it is. She just didn't get caught. So, you know, it's only illegal if you get caught, right? So anyway, thank you, Jamie, you did a great job. It just appeared. And thank you. What's that? But most importantly, thank you, Jamie, doing a great job apparently with social media too, so thanks for all you do. I'm curious, Osage Beach Road status. I went down there Monday, and it's like they've staged up 2 months ago, and nothing's been done. So what's the probability we're going to pour pavement before the asphalt plants close?
So there were a number of gas line conflicts with the plan, and
Is that with Summit?
with Summit.
Okay.
They requested that those conflicts be resolved. We are asking for a detailed schedule from them, and as soon as I get that back from them, I can
So
follow
that
up
we're
with-
waiting on Summit, is that, I'm not sure who them is, so I apologize.
I'm sorry, our contractor, Logan Excavating, is waiting on Summit Gas to relocate their lines that are in conflict with our project.
Okay. And so we're at their mercy, is that what I think I'm hearing? Summit Gas's mercy?
Yes.
Okay.
They should be resolved soon, or at least that's what I'm told. But I have seen several utilities take as long as is needed to resolve
Long as
their
what?
conflicts.
Needed.
Oh, as long as needed.
As
It
long
don't
as
surprise me
needed.
it's going to be 6 or 8 months. We may not see pavement down there till next year this time, but
I-
hopefully I'm wrong. So, anyway,
the whole
I just
project
would,
will
I
not
would
be
ask this, that as this thing progresses, that we be very cautious about tearing up the existing road and leaving a gravel road for months on end because we can't get asphalt. We've seen that before, and it's not fun.
Yeah, this project, I'll have to refresh myself. I don't think that this project is going all the way down to subgrade.
Okay? I
Maybe
haven't seen the
not.
plans, but I'd be surprised if it's not.
Yeah.
So, and while we're there, since we've got time especially, if we're tying into any existing drainage structures that we don't have ownership of, it might be a really good time to assess those, because it might be a good time to line those, versus after the fact, a year or two from now, whenever they start causing problems and we have to dig everything up.
Yeah, I think we can partner with GIS to make sure that we have that asset captured, and with Public Works to make sure that they're in decent shape.
I'm sure down by the dance studio and over by, I'll call it Alpha now, it's not Miller, I want to call it Miller. There's got to be, where those ditches are and where it drains to, I've got to guess that there's something across that road. Kevin, I completely agree. We should not be waiting on inspectors, so whatever we need to do to get that push forward, budget amendments, approval for head counts or whatever, completely support that. And lastly, go Tigers. MIZ. That's all I got. Thank you.
I just have 3 quick things, kind of tag on what Alderman Hoffman said too. But first, Kim and I are leaving tomorrow, heading to Iowa. Her and her daughter are both breast cancer survivors, and it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So I encourage everybody, male and female, to get tested, take it to light. But we're going to do a walk Saturday morning in Cedar Falls, see the grandkids. So I'll be out until Tuesday. So I'll be available by phone, but that's a very serious matter, and I hope everybody gets checked. But piggybacking on what Alderman Hoffman said, the dog park, I am very excited about that, and Eric and Lowe's and Alderman Hoffman for bringing this to light. I look forward to doing the ribbon cutting. They talked about some neat things at the ribbon cutting. One thing I thought would be kind of cool, it was too late, But you ever seen where they'll have dog contests where the owners and the dogs that look alike the most? I thought that'd be great for next year. Ron, you'd be really good at that, so.
Speak on Ron tonight.
Dang. And then the last thing too is, and I was going to say this, I'm surprised you said it, Alderman Hoffman, because, and this has nothing to do with those that have left here over the course of the last 2 years, 2 years and 2 months that I've been here, because we have had a big change here at the city, and a lot of times you'll hear things on the radio, oh my God, what's going on? They lost this person, and I know the same thing as much as Kevin or Ed Rucker and I got to be good friends. I mean, oh my gosh, they're going to lose their... We have come together as a city in a wonderful way. Devin's done a nice job. April was a great mix to that. From the city attorney to human resource to city administrator, assistant city administrator, engineer. I mean, I could go on and on and on. But I really believe the city is headed in the right direction with everything that we have going on, with all the development. So kudos to the city of Osage Beach and the Aldermen. And for those listening, we're about transparency. If you have any questions, comments, if you see a little red flashing light, give us a call. If you see trees across the road, give us a call, because everybody up here, staff and board, really does have the city in the best interest. So thank you all. That's all I have. So with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Alderman Ross, do I have a second? Alderman Rucker. Oh, we have a question.
Do we need to take some action on the closed session, or just let it die, or what?
If nobody moves to go into closed session, we don't go to closed session.
Yep.
Okay, just want to make sure we got dotting our I and crossing our T.
While your hand's up, do you want a second motion?
Second.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Meeting's adjourned. Thanks, folks.